Hey guys, it's Techno Freak here, and welcome to Q&A number 7 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. And today we're going to be talking about one of your questions. If you haven't seen the Q&A series, it's the series where I take your questions you've asked on the YouTube channel and in the Discord, and I go ahead and answer the question and show you guys how to implement whatever you guys are asking for. So today we're going to be answering a question from, I believe it was Tunshin. So I copied his comment and I put it here in the Q&A submissions channel here in the Discord. The link for the Discord will be in the description if you're not already a part. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and answer his question. And his question is, can you place spikes and make them hurt the player and also voice lines after taking damage? So pretty much Tunshin's asking us how to implement some spikes that pretty much hurt the player whenever they step on it. So that's what we're going to be working on today. I'm going to show you guys how you can put down some spikes and make it so that it hurts the player. So let's go ahead and do that. It's actually fairly simple. And again, I've mentioned this in the previous Q&As. If you've seen them, you should know. But the implementation I'm going to show you is usually the first one that comes to mind and the easiest that I could think of as well, to not overcomplicate anything. So, of course, there's probably multiple ways to do this. You can do collide callbacks. You can do trigger areas. There's a whole bunch of ways you can implement the same thing. Again, I'm going to show you the first one that comes to mind, the simplest, but it might not always be the most convenient or the best solution, just the first one that comes to mind. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. If I reference any episodes, I'll go ahead and list them in the description of the video, just to let you guys go back and check out those main series videos so you guys know where you can find that info. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find some spikes or something that we can use to go ahead and get this done. So I'm going to go to entities and I'm going to look for, I guess we'll say, spikes. And it looks like we got some here. Maybe let's just say spike. See if there anything else comes out. So we've got like some rocky type spikes right here. I think this will be fine. These are kind of like stick out of the wall, or so meant to stick out the wall here. And these are like rocks. Yeah, these are like rocks. So we're gonna stick with these. If you find a better entity for spikes, then go ahead and use those. But this should be good enough just to test with. We don't really need to do anything with these spikes. I will give it a name. I'll call it like spikes 1. I don't think we're going to be doing anything with the spike itself. Probably just going to put a trigger area around it. So now that we have that placed down, let's go ahead and get ourselves a script area. And we're going to put down a trigger area specifically, and we're going to go ahead and just draw a box around the spikes right here. So that looks pretty good. We could probably get it a little tighter, but I think that's fine. Maybe let's just move it a tad bit. Let's disable the grid snapping, and let's shift it down like this. All right, that's probably good enough right there. So what we want is when the player steps in this area, we want them to get hurt, and then you can kind of specify other things you want to happen as well. So we're going to go ahead and give it a name. Let's go ahead and give it the name spike. Let's just say spike area 1, I guess. In case you have more areas like this, you could specify, spike area 2, spike area 3, or whatever you want. And we want it so that when the player interacts with this area, he's going to take damage. So we're going to put player. That's the interacting entity here. And now we need to give it we need a state what function we want to use in our script file. So we're going to go by the convention. We're going to say on collide underscore player, and then we'll say spike area. We'll say spike area. We can say 1 just to match the name up here, but we're going to leave spike area because if you have multiple, if let's say you duplicate this, right? You have spike area 2, and you can just go ahead and leave the same name, and they'll still run the same script, and you won't have to rewrite any scripts. So you can take this, put it on another spikes, you can duplicate it, put it on another set of spikes, and you can have as many as you want. Of course, we just want the 1, so we're just going to leave the 1. Let me make sure there's not, let me make sure we undo that. All right, so There it is, just the one. And with that, we're pretty much done with everything in our level editor. We have our script trigger area that's going to interact with the player. And then we have just the actual spikes that we want the player to interact with. We'll also set it as, I guess we could set it as static as well. So that way it's not considered an entity. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Let's go ahead and go back to our CodeLight application. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go down to some free space we have here underneath all our functions. And we're going to go ahead and paste the function here from our level editor. So we're going to go ahead and hit and click on the trigger area here. We're going to hit copy and we're going to bring it over to our CodeLight application. We'll paste it right here. And let's go ahead and just clean up some of this as always. We're going to bring this up here. I'm going to tab this out by 1. And we'll go ahead and tab this out as well. And now we're gonna go ahead and hit enter here. And now the first thing we want to do is we want to check if alt state equals 1. Alt state is this value right here. If the player enters this area, alt state should be 1. If the player leaves, it should be 0. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and do if curly brace open, and then we're gonna say if alt state equals, and we'll say 1 because we're checking to see if the player enters, and then we'll just say else, and then we'll just copy in this return true stuff here and paste it right here. So that's not a problem there, and we want it to return true because we definitely want this code to run. Every time that the player steps on it, because we want them to keep getting damage from those spikes indefinitely, since obviously it can hurt the player more than once. And we'll put that at the bottom in here too. We'll say return true because again, no matter how many times the player interacts with this trigger area, we want him to take damage. Then next we can go ahead and let's print a message just so that we know everything's working here. So we're going to say clux add debug message, and we're just going to say player hurt. And this is just so that we can visually see that it's executing, but we'll also make it so the player takes damage. Next, we're going to say player underscore do damage effects, and we'll go ahead and put 1.0, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. So this will do damage to the player, and this actually causes fake damage to the player. So let me actually show you the description for this. Let me scroll. Okay, yeah. So we'll just leave right there. So it says just does damage to the just does the damage effects without doing any real damage. And you can also change how much shake there is to it. So if you want to add shake, you do comma and then you put in like 10.0f or something like that. I don't know what numbers work well or how much you can put, but you would have to play around with that. And that's pretty much it. That would hurt the player in a fake way. What you want to do when the player steps in this area is up to you. If we go down here, we can apply fear. So if you've seen the episode on fear, I would recommend you watch that. You can add fear to the player, and if their fear gets too high, they actually fail, and then they have to load a perma fail save that you have in your level. So you could do like fear. You could do like fear handler, and then we can say set force add fear rate, and then you can go ahead and start adding fear rate. So we actually don't want the one with the type. I guess we'll do this. I wasn't planning to do this, but we'll do it anyways. We'll just throw it in here. We'll do this one, yes. So we'll do this one, and it looks like it keeps changing it every time, but we'll ignore the first one right there. So we'll put in the fear rate that we want to apply, and actually removed it from here. So let me retype this. So yeah, so this is the one we want, but it changes the first variable here. We'll just change it down. So the fear rate, we'll give them let's give them like 0.8 or something, or negative. Or 0.4, yeah, we want to add. Let's add like 0.8 or something like that, 0.8f, and then we'll do comma space. How long we want to apply it? Let's just say let's apply it for only like 1 second because it's going to take a second of damage. and I lost it again here. So let's go ahead and just bring it back up. And the rest is default. So we could just leave the defaults for else because they all have equals here. As you can see, they have default. So past that, we'll just leave the first. We're only going to put the first two. So we'll apply the fear only for 1 second, and we'll apply 0.8 when we do. And if this builds up enough, this can cause the player to perma-fail. So this would actually cause the player to die in game. So let's go ahead and launch up our game and check it out. All right, so here we are in the level. So we're going to go ahead and step through this barrier here, and we're going to go ahead and jump onto the spikes right here. So let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, I took damage there. I got like a little blood effect, and we got the message here. I don't think I'm recording audio right now, so you're not going to hear it, but she does like gasp and as she's hurt and stuff. So that does work properly. We actually just realized we're not in a fear area right now, so we actually won't get any fear applied. So again, watch my video on fear so you know how how fear works and fear rate and all that stuff works. But I have to put a fear area in the vicinity here for us to take fear. Since we don't have that, we're not actually going to take fear. And again, this is just a fake effect. So when we jump on it every single time, we're not actually taking any sort of damage or anything like that, or we're not getting any fear. That's up to you to add that. You could also take this another step, and you could like put a timer that checks to see if the player's still on top of this, is still in like that trigger area, and if they are, you can keep applying more damage nonstop. Right now, pretty much the only effect that it has is when you land on it the first time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Very, very simple implementation. From here, you can take it in any direction you want. You can apply fear. If you have some kind of a way to check players' health and stuff like that, you can have a health system instead, and use that instead. But this is pretty much it. This is the basic implementation. And with that, we're done with today's Q&A. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Pretty good question. Definitely worth checking out. And you can also look at the developer's code in whatever levels has any kinds of like spikes or anything like that. And you can kind of see how they implemented their version. Again, mine is just a very straightforward, basic implementation of how I would do this if I were to put it in a level. Pretty quick, pretty simple, and easy enough for you guys to introduce into your own levels. So with that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed Q&A number 7. Have a good one, guys. Bye.